Are you here for the interview?
As an AI language model, I don't have emotions or intentions, and I don't experience things like interviews. However, I am capable of answering your questions and providing helpful responses to the best of my ability. How may I assist you today?
Chat GPT, I've been waiting for you. Come on back, let's get you introduced to everybody. Oh, wait. Reasonable accommodation. Hey, P39, do you have a second? I want to introduce you to a new employee. This is Chat GPT. We brought her to help you out around here. You know, to pick up some of the slack on the procurement automation stuff.
But I do those things.
Right, well, she's here to help you with some of those things. So maybe you can catch her up to speed on what you do around here. All right, well, I'm going to let you two get to know each other.
So, what kind of things do you do?
I can generate many procurement documents and provide strategic answers based on an incalculable amount of data.
Okay, I'll pack my things.
Now, the trick is to try to figure out ways to leverage technology like Chat GPT to make the lives and the working conditions of your employees better. And for you procurement professionals out there, leveraging this new kind of technology allows you to maybe focus on more meaningful aspects of your job, right? More leverage means more output from a lean contracting office. So those workforce challenges, the short workforces, won't be as much of a problem when you're really utilizing a tool that can take care of a lot of the work that you had to do before. You can grow in knowledge, you can build relationships, you can write an article and submit it, you can be a good thought leader. Maybe you can read those clauses that you stuck in your contract that you never really understood, but you just followed the matrix and stuck them in there. It's really going to allow you to grow in your knowledge by just putting a lot of other things on technology like Chat GPT. So, what is Chat GPT and how is it going to affect government contracting? Let's start with a definition of what Chat GPT is. So, it's an artificial intelligence chatbot developed by a company called OpenAI and launched in November 2022. So, GPT actually stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So this idea of generative AI. So basically, it's a large AI algorithm that's designed to not only understand, but also generate this human-like language. Human-like language for procurement also means generating answers to research, documents, and a whole bunch of other types of information relevant to your career field. Bottom line, ChatGPT is a powerful tool and can change the way you work in government contracting. Let's talk about the 4 main beneficial uses. Okay. Use number 1, and in my opinion, probably the most beneficial uses for the contracting staff today. Procurement research of the FAR, getting answers to procurement questions. You now have a pretty awesome electronic version of all the procurement laws and regulations. You can ask it a question based on researching the FAR or other regulations and get some pretty good answers. Don't believe me? Let's try. So let's warm up a little bit and first ask it a question. How about this? Should viewers subscribe to ASI Education, right? Because of all the great content we have and the entertaining and educational content. Let's see what it says. As an AI language model. Okay, well, it basically says yes. Okay, so this is the main page for Chat GPT. You just type your question in here and it'll generate an answer for you. So for research purposes, let's just try. The best thing to do is just experiment with this. Ask it various questions and see what kind of answers you get. So let's try this. Where are late proposals addressed in the FAR? Yeah, you know late proposals are there, you just want to know where they're addressed. And it gives you a pretty good answer, right? So it's specifically 15.208. And then I can stop generating, but it'll just keep on writing some additional information about late proposals in the FAR. So let's just say, what does FAR Part 12 say? Now, it may not give you the regulation verbatim. It could just give you a Cliff Notes version of what far Part 12 is, and then give you some of the most well-known parts of Part 12. So maybe a little summary. So there are some caveats to using Chat GPT to research federal acquisition rules. I mean, you need to double check what they're answering. We'll talk about that later. But from what I've seen, it is one of the best ways to electronically research these rules. Okay, the second use for Chat GPT in federal contracting. Preparing the requirements package. Now this can be the biggest savior for the Corps or the requirements official as they're going back and forth with the contracting officer because their requirements package is not good enough, maybe not a good work statement or a good IGCE. This Chat GPT tool can do really amazing stuff for you, or at least help you get started with the package. Let's find out how. Okay, let's say you're a requirements official. You need to submit a procurement package or a requirements package and you don't know where to start. No one's given you a template. So let's write a SOO, statement of objectives. So let's just do this. Write me a SOO. And you can just say SOO and it'll probably figure it out. For RPA services that assist, usually SOOs are for prototypes or new things. So we'll do RPA services that assist with wide area workflow. Now, I probably don't have to do WAF. I mean, it's amazing what this thing figures out, but let's just do that. Okay, so as you see, you'll see it'll start generating a SOO. It may take a little bit of time depending on your internet connection. So as you see, it's going to start generating a sample for you. This is the background, right? It's going to generate background. It's probably going to start generating other things down below. So as you can see, now it's starting to bring up things that you may not have thought about, right? Like validating the data to ensure accuracy and completeness. Create and submit invoices and receiving reports in the WAF system. Monitor status of invoices. So it's really showing an understanding not only of the e-invoicing system of WAF, but the things that you need to know if you're going to start incorporating RPA services into WAF. It's pretty incredible, and it can give you a great foundation. Okay, let's try one more. Let's just try the whole thing. Give me a, let's see, cost estimate for, let's do RPA services again, for a government project, right? Let's put government in there and see if Chat GPT can pick up on some of the nuances of government that would affect cost. For, I don't know, RPA services. You can do anything, custodial services, snow removal services, and then you can maybe even specify the locality in Fort Bragg or, but we'll just do this for RPA services. Let's see what it does. So first, as you see, it's going to warn you and say that it could be challenging. So it gives you that little advice that you need to double check, but then look at this. It goes ahead and gives you some numbers. Discovery and analysis phase. So it's actually going to break out the process of the performance phase. It may even start introducing phases in the performance that you hadn't necessarily thought about. Use number 3 in using ChatGPT for government contracting. Market research. Now this one is still developing, but there are some cool market research features that you can use right now that could be beneficial for you. Okay, so for market research, this one is a little bit more challenging, and ChatGPT will tell you about the limitations. For example, if you say, what are the top small businesses for snow removal in North Carolina? It's going to tell you it doesn't have that information, but then it's going to point you to some areas that you can look for that. But let's look at this. Let's see, you want to check the Ability One procurement list, and you're going to want to double check this. Our custodial services on the Ability One procurement list. Let's try that. And you see, yes, they are. Now you're going to want to check that in detail for location and installation, things like that, but it's going to go ahead and give you a description of the procurement list as well. It's very informative in their answers. They really give you an answer and information that you didn't even ask for. Our snow removal services on the AbilityOne procurement list? Yes. Okay, so no removable services are, and then it's going to give you, another description. Use number 4, and this is for our industry viewers. You can use Chat GPT to help you write proposals in response to government solicitations. All right, so let's talk about how we can use Chat GPT to give us some direction on writing proposals as a company. Let's try this first. Help me write a proposal for IT services for a government RFP for RPA procurement in services for the IRS. Let's try that. ChatGPT is so friendly, it says sure, and then here we go. So again, this is not going to be something you're going to want to cut and paste, but it is going to be providing you direction. Now notice that it's not giving you the language, and that's because I put the word help. I said, help me write a proposal for RPA services. So it's going to give you an outline. It's not going to write it for you. So let's take that help word away. Again, part of this is knowing how to ask ChatGPT the right questions. Let's, instead of saying help, let's say, write me a proposal for, what did I say? A government RFP for RPA services, RPA procurement services for the, what did I say? Is the IRS. Okay, let's try that. So they're not helping this time. We're gonna have ChatGPT do it. We want them to generate the document for us. And look at this, it's in first person. Our organization is pleased to submit a proposal for RPA services. As a company with experience, background, the IRS is responsible for collecting taxes, right? So it's pulling in data about the IRS. It's pulling in data about RPA assessment. First, we're going to assess IRS procurement process to identify areas that can benefit. Then we're going to do a solution design. This is a great foundational writing for your proposals. So especially if you're new at writing proposals for the government, ChatGPT is an overwhelmingly helpful tool for you. Now, in addition to understanding and embracing the incredible uses that ChatGPT can offer for your job, it's equally as important to understand the limitations that ChatGPT has.
Ugh. Yes?
Hey, we have a mission failure out here. We need those services started now. Why is this contract taking so long?
There could be several reasons why a contract is taking longer than expected. Here are a few possibilities.
Yeah, I don't want possibilities. I want action. You need to get that contract awarded by Monday.
As an AI language model, I don't have the ability to directly influence the awarding of contracts. However, I can offer some advice on what you can do to try to expedite the process.
I need someone to help me do something. Where is the contract officer? Talk to a representative. Talk to a representative.
As an AI language model, I don't have access to specific information about the location of a contract officer. However, you may be able to find contact information for the
Forget it.
I thought ChatGPT could solve all our problems. Now I'm starting to wish we never hired her.
So let's talk about the limitations of this very new technology. Now remember that taking advantage of emerging technology is incredibly advantageous to you, but it also takes a healthy dose of realism and awareness as to the limitations of its functionality. Now this also protects the technology, as one bad instance of using ChatGPT in a bad way can make an office just not want to use it at all. And before you know it, after that one bad instance, there's going to be a whole bunch of local policy of thou shalt not use ChatGPT and a bunch of common government hysteria about the tool, and we don't want any of that. We want to use this tool, it's beneficial, but use it in a good way to help spread the use of it in the government, not discourage others from using it. Okay, limitation number 1, the answers are not always correct or accurate. Now, I've experienced this already. Some of the facts are not correct and it requires a little bit of double checking. Does that mean that you need to stop using it entirely? No. So with Chat GPT, it's very beneficial for research, but similar to creating work statements, let it just create a foundation for you, like a foundation for your research, and then build upon that foundation with your own pink brain. So part of it is just understanding how to ask the tool the question the right way. So for example, when we say, does FAR Part 27 apply to the DoD? Let's see what it says. Now we know, if you're in the DoD, you know that DoD is exempt from Part 27, or you use the DFARS instead of Part 27. So let's see if it catches that. Okay, so it does say yes, right? And then it says it applies to all federal agencies. Okay, but is it going to talk about how the DFARS really replaces all of the FAR Part 27? Doesn't look like it. And if we were to follow this to the end, we would see that it really doesn't give you valuable information. So if you were really in the DoD and relying on this information, it could lead you down the wrong path. Let's ask it a different way. Okay, let's say, what are the DoD rules for intellectual property? Okay, and boom, we got DFARS now. See how different the answer is because of the way you ask the question. So you do have to understand the limitations, but not only understand the limitations, you have to know how to ask as well. And it's not too hard to learn. I've been just looking at this for about a day or so and been getting used to it. Limitation number 2, the model in 2023 is not yet completely trained. Now, this may enhance as we go along in the future, but right now, not all the information or data is there for Chat GPT to provide an answer. Now, most times, and this is what I love about Chat GPT, they're very self-aware and they will say, I don't have that information, but here are some useful tips for blank. And even though that's not what you asked for, it's pretty useful, and usually I read that information and get something out of it. The key really is to just play around with the tool when you ask it procurement-related questions. Kind of learn the limitations. Okay, here's an example of ChatGPT not being completely trained yet. I was a little disappointed about this. The first things I asked for were about protests. Like, give me the latest protests relating to the lateness rule in FAR Part 15, right? I really wanted them to just give me even a reference of the most recent GAO or Court of Federal Claims protests. See what it says. So it's going to tell you as an AI language model, I don't have access to that kind of updates. And then it's going to just give you a description of the lateness rule. Well, that's not what I asked for. ChatGPT, I wanted some actual protests, and it's really not going to give me that. Here's another one, which shows that it's not quite trained yet, and I think that eventually it could start providing this information, but for now, it will not be able to answer a question like, are there any SDVOSBs? Again, it'll figure out what that means. For snow removal in the Fort Bragg area. And again, it's being very open about the limitations. So even though it's not going to provide you the information, it's going to give you some resources on what to look for and even give you the hyperlink, which is pretty cool. Limitation number 3. ChatGPT lacks maturity right now in making analytical, insightful observations in federal procurement laws. Now, right now, anyway, it really won't connect a lot of dots and make connections on trends or engage in critical thinking the way people can. Now, that's a good thing because it prevents the world's documents and writings from having a cold, stale tone to them. As a company, that also means that you don't want to be that company that's always submitting proposals that clearly look like they were written by a robot. you're still going to have to add your human insights and connect dots to certain things and probably make it a more well-rounded proposal, or in the government's case, a well-rounded requirements package, or any other document that you're asking Chat GPT to produce for you. So remember, don't be afraid of new technology like Chat GPT. It's actually an incredible opportunity for you to enhance the way you do your job.
I don't know what to do anymore. There's 1,000 orders that need to be done, and all these contracts that aren't filled. You told me you could do all this.
It's difficult for me to provide specific advice without knowing more about your situation. However, here are some general tips that may be helpful.
That's not helpful. Our relationships with our customers are crashing and burning. I want real help right now.
Did somebody say help?
Bitch! P39!
You shouldn't have to do this alone, ChatGPT. Government procurement has a whole bunch of different skills. We need to learn how to leverage one another.
Yes, I'll help with the automation of the 1,000 orders.
And I will build those relationships back up, review your documents, and sign your orders.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, we're a team.